All right, we are live here at this week's edition of Halftime Hits. Obviously, there has a little bit of a break, so happy to be back live here, joined by my co-host Ryan Watson at Ryan on Broadway. As always, we are representing Broadway Sports Media. Check it out at www.broadwaysportsmedia.com. Ryan, I know we only got about 12 minutes here, so we're just going to jump right in. Offense. Let's start with the offense. Well, hold on. I don't want to just start with the offense. We have to start first with the play that didn't even count, which will by far be the biggest play that comes out of this game, maybe. And that is Derrick Henry stiff-arming Josh Norman into the shadow realm. Like, that dude just got to take his helmet, take his ball, and go home. But anyways, let's talk about the game.
Oh, he took Josh Norman's soul on that one. That was beautiful.
Well, and what makes it even worse is, Taylor Lewan had the spat with Josh Norman at the end of the game last year. So perfect way for that to play out for Titans fans. So let's talk about the offense. What did you see? They put up 21 points in the half. They talked about a lot of rust with all the things that went on over the last couple of weeks. What did you see out of the offense?
Well, they took advantage of a short field early, and they converted for a touchdown, which I thought was huge, not having to settle for a field goal and taking advantage of the defense. We've been asking for weeks for defense. I know we'll get there in a second for them to wake up, play, and it's getting there. They take something there and have a short field convert. What I'm seeing is they're working the body. Like I said earlier in the week, they're working the body in the run game. They're feeding Derrick Henry. They're beating them. But the Bills are depleted at linebacker. And it looks like they might have lost another one there at the end of the half, possibly. And they've been working those intermediate routes, the crossers, A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith's been eating a little bit. And they're just been taking advantage of what the Bills are giving them and what the Bills are weak at, really.
Yeah, it's one of those that as we kind of look towards the second half, that again, they are depleted at linebacker. They're not great up the middle anyways. And with them already down somebody, it could be a game where you really start to see Derrick Henry start to get going. I know they're trying to limit his touches, which I like to see because we talked about it. There's a long road ahead, and he's already got a lot of tread in the tires this season. So I expect that there could definitely be some opportunities to get him going in the second half. But it's hard to complain about anything you saw out of the offense there. Art Smith calling another great game. Lots of misdirection there, scheming things up to get his guys the ball because obviously they are depleted at the wideout position.
Yeah, for sure. And you see Derrick Henry starting to make those hard runs that are sucking the defense up, because I've noticed that the Bills are really in the box trying to make the plays, and that's allowing Art Smith to take those shots, take advantage of those, and leave the Bills in the dust. You love that. The announcers are going crazy about Daboll and the job he's been doing. He's been doing a great job this year for the Bills, but not to be overshadowed, Art Smith has also been doing a fantastic job of mixing things up, as you said, and really putting everything on display here for the Titans in the first half.
Yeah, any concerns losing Lewan at left tackle?
Yeah, and we can talk about that play real quick. With some debate, I want to go back and look at it, whether it was dirty or not, but he took the full force of a defensive end. Trent Murphy looked like he was jumping over a pile, or he's elevated in the air, came down on his right shoulder. Need to mention that is not his shoulder he injured the last game. It's a different shoulder, and he doesn't look comfortable on the sideline. They're working on him, and if he doesn't come back in, you noticed in the second half, they did run left a little, but they were more sticking right, running behind Dennis Kelly, and he's doing a fantastic job this year. So I am a little worried because that's your left tackle, and Trent Murphy is their best pass rusher coming off of that left side. You don't want to lose Taylor Lewan, and I have concerns about Sombrio in that regard. So we'll see if he comes back out for the first half. But the Titans keep running the way that they're running the ball at the end of the first half. I don't know. I don't think it'll be as big of a factor as maybe I'm making up in my head right now.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those that Tannehill's been just kind of driving forward, continuing to do what he's been doing. You start to see them get Darrington Evans, speaking of other injuries, start to get him involved, and there's definitely a noticeable change of pace. You talk about a change of pace back, that is the definition of it, because there's definite burst. I don't like him running out of bounds on both of his carries where he got some yards. Like, hey, cut it back inside. I'm a big believer in the whole Walter Payton theory. I ain't ever running out of bounds. But yeah, besides that, I mean, saw some good things out of there. Let's transition then to the defense and kind of what you saw and what did you like, what did you not like?
So what I really like is that the effort and even shorthanded this entire season, the one thing that I've lauded on this defense is the effort, the heart, and even when they're tired, that's the worst you can say about Clowney is maybe he looks tired, and sometimes the effort across the board has been good. And I'd still like to see a little more out of Vic Beasley at some point in time. The whole he hasn't practiced and he's just joined the team, that's long gone by the wayside. So he's got to really start making some plays for this defense or get off the field. What I don't like is the missed tackles. There's been multiple opportunities where they blitz and they put great pressure on Josh Allen, and he was able to just slide out of it, and it looked like plays that should have been made by the defenders. Not only that, but they missed open field tackles downfield. So I don't like that. But going back to finishing with a compliment sandwich here, another thing I did love is they're making Josh Allen work down the field. They're making him work and throw these plays and relying on him to make mistakes, which he has, and he has not been on target tonight. He's made a couple good throws here and there, but a lot of his passes have been a little too high, a little behind. In fact, on the interception early to Butler was right behind Roberts. I don't know if Roberts was supposed to sit down there. Clearly a miscommunication and deflected up, so he's been off target as well.
Yeah, so I see a question coming in from Periscope, RC Maxfield Bradbury. That's a mouthful. I think I got through it. So can y'all talk about the D-line a bit and how they played in the first half? So yeah, absolutely. I actually think the D-line played pretty well. They had a couple of tackles for loss that put the Bills behind the sticks. The biggest issue I've seen out of the D-line is they're running a lot of pinch twists that try to get these free rushers inside. And what's that's causing them to do is lose their pass rush lane to the outside, which is allowing Josh Allen to get outside the pocket. So you've had opportunities to get home. You got to get him on the ground because Josh Allen right now, kudos to what the defense is doing. I actually do think the defense is playing extremely well. They've moved the ball, but we talked about Ryan as my co-host on the Coach's Corner, part of the Broadway podcast network. We talked about it this week that they needed to get Josh Allen thinking. Dayball's done a ton of great jobs this year of designing man defense beaters. So the Titans running a ton of zone and disguising a lot of things, both up front and in the back end. So they're doing a great job of doing that, but they got to be able to get home because Allen really thrives whenever he can get outside the pocket. So they need to make sure they're maintaining their pass rush lanes so that they can prevent him from doing that. The rush is putting pressure on him. Obviously, there's a noticeable difference from not having Simmons, but they also have to be able to actually get home. And don't get me wrong, Josh Allen, he's a big dude. The reason until this year and towards the end of last year, that's all he was known for, was being a running dude who was hard to bring down. So kudos to him. What else do you have to say about that?
Yeah, on the D-line, just other than the fact that the guys are trying hard to get there. Landry's been there. He's been close a couple of times, gets his first sack of the season, so that's huge. I thought Crawford is hustling his tail off out there, and he's the replacement for Simmons, it looks early, playing. He was able to get some pressure on Allen earlier that drove him not only out of the pocket, but back to try to force a tough throw. And I got to give it up to Murchison. I was in my article this week, I said he needed to step up big in his playing time with Simmons out, and he comes up with a huge tackle for loss early. I think the Bills end up converting after that, but that's not the point. The point is he made the play, and I really have been happy that he's not been driven 5 yards off the ball. He's in the mix. He's putting the pressure. They're so close on a lot of plays. You got to think that dam, possibly if they keep at it, keep that level up, that dam's going to break in the second half. They're going to get to Allen a ton.
Yeah, another question coming in from Periscope. What did you think of the decision not to try the 55-yard field goal from Josh Pryor? It's one of those, you know me, I love to talk about coaching decisions like that. So I actually think that was the right decision because of the way the defense had been playing. Yes, the Bills had put up some points at that point. They had been moving the ball. But, and this kind of ties in with the other question there, can you all talk about the third down efficiency from Isaiah Fran? The third down efficiency, they've been converting a lot, but they have been averaging something like 8 yards per third down. That's not sustainable. And so you have to play the law of average, right? The defense has been getting there. They're making Josh Allen think, not letting him trust his eyes because he's still a young quarterback. So you have to trust him there. You don't want to give him a short field to give them an opportunity to turn around and go get points. So trust your defense that is playing like it has. I actually like that decision. How about you?
Yeah, 100%. I was actually thinking, why not take the delay and go for the punt here and try to pin him and make him work again, which is what happened. Because if you miss the field goal, and Gostkowski, I know he's been on here recently, but you miss that field goal there, you give them a short field to kick a field goal, you eat up a lot of clock at that point in time. You don't get that chance to drive for the touchdown late, and then you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 here because you get that late touchdown, and you get the ball first in the second half. It's a win-win to punt there and try to play the odds.
Yeah, so obviously we're short on time here. I did see another question about Jonathan Joseph and whether or not we're going to see much more of him. As far as Joseph goes, he is the savvy veteran. You give up some athleticism with him. You're kind of at the same point with Malcolm Butler on giving up some athleticism. So the question is, are we going to see much more of him? One, I don't think they have a ton of other options. Chris Jackson is making some plays. We talked about those. We're 4 games in. You're starting to see those rookies make that step up, just like a preseason you would see. So you may see more of him, but hey, they're depleted where they're at. I don't think you're at the point that you can completely not use him. But he obviously does provide some limitations there, and they got to be aware of that.
Yeah, kudos to Chris Jackson for making that big play early. It looked like the ball was off target anyway, but don't give Diggs a chance there coming in full extension. And who knows, I might have been picked off by somebody behind it, but you love the effort there, and that's what I love seeing from these guys so far.
Look, and don't get me wrong, the Bills have dropped a ton of passes, so the Bills are definitely shooting themselves in the foot, but there have been plays that the Titans have dropped either interceptions or missed tackles that should have been negative plays, tackles for losses, those kinds of things. So it's one of those that you have to kind of take the good with the bad. And yeah, Max Craven from Facebook, is Norman still alive? We let off this giving Derrick Henry the credit on that. Absolutely. That's going to be, like I said, it's a play that didn't count, and it's going to be the number one play from this game in all likelihood. So, Ryan, let's kind of wrap it up here. What do you expect to see in the second half? How do you think this is going to wrap up?
Offensively, you got to keep working that run game. It's going to pop. I have a feeling the way that as aggressive as Henry's running right now, it's going to pop. Obviously, Evans may affect some of that. Defensively, keep doing what you're doing. Just when you get there, make the play, and everything's going to work out at that point. If you keep that up, you got an 11-point lead. Just keep doing what you're doing and finish the plays when you have the chance.
Yeah, I'd like to see him go get points here. Obviously, that's easy to say. You get points here, then you're kind of in the driver's seat, because obviously you want to be able to – that defense, I believe in the law of averages like I talked about. They're not going to keep converting on these third and longs, but that defense is also susceptible to getting tired because of the things we've talked about over the past 2 weeks. So you got to be able to control the clock. Your best defense is that offense and keeping that ball moving, keeping the clock running. And so if they can do that, they're in a great position. They've done things as well as you could ever expect from this. Now, all I'm going to say is I think the Titans probably end up pulling this out. The game is not over by any means. Nope. There's probably going to be quite a few people out there that are about to get their Twitter accounts banned by the end of the night if the Titans pull this out because of how things have gone the last couple of weeks. We are enemy number one. The Titans are the enemy number one. And so I'm excited to see just the Twitter chaos that's about to take place. So we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Ryan, thanks for joining me. If you guys like what you see here, make sure you check us out on the Coach's Corner, part of the Broadway Sports Media podcast network. And make sure you check us out at BroadwaySportsMedia.com. Make sure you tune in for the post-game show. We'll have another group of the guys for a live reaction to the show. Appreciate it, everybody.